You're listening to Life Inspirations. Purpose. Why you're really here. You know, this is such an important question because the quest for finding meaning and finding mission in life colours everything we do, the way we think, the way we act, who we are even. Mark Twain once said the two most important days in your life is the day you were born and the day you find out why. Everyone, it doesn't matter who you are, is on the quest, on the search for significance and meaning. You see, no one gets picked for a team and then wants to sit on the bench. And this sense of not being wanted can go all the way back to our childhood when people were picking teams and you might have been the last person to be picked. And often people bring this up as some sort of a milestone, a negative milestone in their life. And this is because it hits at the heart of a person's sense of self-worth. It can cut deep. Self-talk goes something like, I'm a nobody. Nobody wants to think that at his funeral, the eulogy will declare that his life didn't matter. Everybody wants to make a difference, and not just for ourselves. You see, we want to leave the world a little bit changed. And when it's time to go, we would like for someone to say, my life is a little richer, my world is a little bigger. I'm a better person because this human being walked the planet a while. And this desire for significance is actually a wonderful thing. Our hunger for it is an indicator of who we are and why we were created. Deeper than our need for food or air or water is our need for meaning. Of course, this can get distorted by our egos. It can get sidetracked into narcissism or egotism. But we are built for meaning, the way that Porsches are built for speed. But it's incredibly important to know this. Your mission starts where you are, not where you think it should be. I'll say that again. Your mission starts where you are, not where you think it should be. And this is because at times we're tempted to think that our current position or a job or a study or a situation is a barrier to our mission. But in fact, it's where it starts. And here's another thought. Being significant is not the same as looking significant. And sometimes the contribution that a person makes doesn't get noticed until that contribution ceases. In 1 Corinthians 7:17, Paul said each one should retain the place in life that the Lord assigned to him and to which God has called him. It's not referring to a person's changing a job or their location, but it does mean that if my mission cannot start here, where I am, it cannot start at all. And the idea that Jesus had is that when someone began to follow him, that person would become good news to everyone in the neighborhood. Neighborhood meaning everyone you're in contact with. His followers would become more generous and more truthful and would be a blessing to all peoples, as God had promised Abraham. And so his idea was that the gospel is good news for everybody, even people who don't believe it. And as a pastor said once, if the gospel isn't good news for everybody, then it isn't good news for anybody. Secondly, your mission, your purpose in life is not about you. And Jesus said this, he said, you are the salt of the earth. And salt's calling is to lose itself in something much bigger and more glorious. And then it fulfills its destiny. And so salt does not exist for itself. When someone comes to your place for a meal and sprinkles salt over the food, you don't hear them really saying, man, this is great salt. I wouldn't mind getting some of that. No, it's not mentioned. And we were made to be salt. Now, don't get me wrong. We've really got to look out for ourselves. We've got to look after ourselves. But if we do our mission, we undertake our purpose for myself, by myself, it doesn't lead anywhere. But if I do it with God for others, it is life. In America a century ago, there was a colourful revival preacher named Billy Sunday, an ex-major leaguer for baseball. And he used to say that the best thing could happen to a person was to go to one of his revivals, get saved, walk out into the street, get run over by a Mack truck and go straight to heaven. But actually, the get saved and die plan is not Jesus' option A. His plan is for you to have a purpose, a mission, a destiny, starting here and now. And that mission is not about building your little kingdom yourself, but simply becoming the salt and light of the earth. Also, your mission will use your strength. Now, this may not be surprising to you, but over the years, myself and many people that I've been involved with have done gifting surveys to find out what their gifts are, what their talents are, their passions. And it's a great thing to do, but time and again I've found the majority of people are not surprised by the discoveries of the way God has made them, the strengths that they have. It's almost as if these surveys sort of tidy it up a wee bit for them. But Jordan Peterson said something quite profound, I thought. When it comes to the calling that you have or what your giftings are, it's usually not a great mystery. It's not as though you have to go on a great quest to find it. In a sense, it comes to you. And I note that even as a child, a long time ago for many of us, people knew what their giftings were. Probably in a raw state, probably not quite crystallized and focused, but they knew. Many parents know. Lots of teachers in primary schools particularly can see giftings that are in a state that could be wonderful in the years to come. And this all leads to this. God will ask us, what is that in your hand? Like he did with Moses with his staff. So the gifts and strengths that are already in our hands, he chooses to use. Your temperaments, your experiences even, your relationships, your mind, your education, all of them help to determine our mission and our purpose. Someone once said, your talent is God's gift to you. What you do with it is your gift back to God. Picasso reportedly said, the purpose of life is to find your gift. The meaning of life is to give it away. Wow. And so you carry within you a unique combination of talent, passion, and perspective that exists in no one else on this planet. And do you know what? Your mission will also use your weaknesses. And some people truly believe that the things that they are weak in actually rob them of any chance of having a significance or a mission in life. In fact, the opposite is true. God never wastes anything, any hurts that you've got. For example, and part of what makes a human life most powerful is the struggle. And I have testified many times that as a youngster, young man, I was absolutely petrified with the thought of public speaking in front of a crowd. What would I say? Yes, I could sing and play the guitar, but to actually speak, I was just terrified of it. It was quite a profound weakness in my life. But God, in his wisdom, developed my life and turned a great weakness into a strength. There's another aspect to all of this as well. You see, no one's able to help alcoholics more than recovering alcoholics. No one can speak to those who grieve better than one who has suffered deep loss. Some of you will remember Chuck Colson, who was a lawyer and a White House player, but it was not until he was a convict that he was prepared to begin a ministry called Prison Fellowship. So my encouragement to you is not to discount your life, your mission, your significance because of some of these impediments that seem to be blocking you from them. There's another aspect to this. Your mission will be connected to your deepest dissatisfaction. So the question here is, what troubles you the most? For Moses, it was the oppression of his people. He hated seeing his brothers beaten by Egyptians. For William Wilberforce, it was slavery. He devoted his entire life to seeing it eradicated in England, which it finally was, not long before his death. The list can go on and on of people that were deeply dissatisfied with some issue or issues in life, and so they devoted their lives towards those things. For example, if you have a sense that your mission involves helping the poor, spend time around those in poverty. Allow your emotions to become deeply engaged and carry with you that fire that things need to change. And my last point here today for this podcast is your mission means God believes in you. And I love that thought that I've had for a number of years. We often say that we need to believe in God, And that's true, we do. But do you realize that God believes in you? Amazing, isn't it? Jesus was a rabbi who was different to all the rest. He came along and called his disciple. He came to fishermen and tax collectors and said, I believe in you. What I know, I will teach you. What I do, you can do. It's no wonder they left their fishing nets, etc. And so Jesus sent his followers out to do what he did. And that's what he's calling you to do if you're listening to this. He invites you to go on a mission. He invites you to purpose, to come up to the show, to play the real game of life. You are the salt of the earth, and he can make your life a blessing to many, many people. You may feel like you're not sure you believe enough in Jesus. That's okay. He believes in you. God bless you today.